Hello, welcome back to Byerwood. My name is Stelio, and we're back playing some City Skylines. So, this is one of the Byerwood episodes that I spend replacing the place and filler buildings that I have around the city. So, there's some buildings that I've placed just to sort of fill in the area and make it a not empty plot. And right now, I want to go through and place the buildings that I really want to be there. So, as I'm doing that now, I'm once again using some of the using some similar assets that I've been using in the past, and that's just because I think they really fit in for the area that I'm working on, and that's this sort of grid-based, not too dense area in the city that's outside of the direct main skyline, but it's still relatively in the city. And like this area is right across the street from the town hall, so it's still somewhat dense, but not to the point where it's many stories. I redid these two buildings right here because they just do not fit the time era and do not fit the size of buildings that are supposed to be in the area. So I'm going to be placing some buildings that I think better fit in this location. You can see all the people driving away too, which looks pretty funny. As I fill in these buildings, these blocks look a lot better and they look a lot more New England. Sort of a puzzle fitting in each building because with the grid based, it really fits in all at the end. I'm also going to be going back and working on stuff that I placed many episodes, some in the original episodes. So I just want to always, of course, be working on stuff and changing up the layouts of this stuff. Like this building, I really didn't like in this position, so I'm going to continue this block of row houses and other Brooklyn style buildings instead and move that building over to where I think it fits in a much better spot. Buildings are very handy because they look similar but they're not all the same, of course, and they all fit together very nicely. So building blocks and blocks with these sort of row house buildings really gives it a uniform and official look. I'm coming in and just filling out some of these lots with cement and filling in some of these filling in some of these areas where I think there needs to be buildings. And we're now getting closer to the entertainment road, which I never named, but that's okay. The more cement that I place, the more I can tell myself it looks final and it looks official. Right now, I'm going to be jumping into some work on the north side of this train tracks. So this is just going to be some more neighborhoods with the typical triple decker housing. And if you want to know what these houses are, they're mostly just the East Coast housing and I think it's just called 3-floor housing, something like that. But I'm going to be using those houses to fill out this neighborhood in this area right here. That's going to consist of housing and some low density commercial, basically just local businesses and some small, just businesses really. As I fill in more and more of these, though, it's really going to make the city look. It's just really starting to fill out. And I think with houses everywhere, it looks like there's people living in the city, and it makes it look like stuff's going on. Whereas before, it was the skyline and a few streets outside of the skyline, you immediately dip down to nothing but empty, barren, whatever. But now there's really neighborhoods on every side of the city. We're really starting to fill out the area we have. I'm also trying to shuffle out what I have in terms of these houses. I don't want them all to look the same, so I want to try to get the best pattern of houses without, just putting them all in a row and copying them. And because I just think doing that, even in a perfect grid and a very uniform grid like I have here, I think it's just very lazy and it doesn't come out how I really want it to. And I think by placing them out individually, it does take a lot longer for me, but it's the best way to go. And I might say this in every episode, but it's just for the people that don't watch every episode. And one thing that I want you to know is that I hand do all of this, and that's just because it makes it the most personable for me. But besides that, I just want to wrap this episode up, and nothing too special, but moving around some buildings and placing some new buildings in here. So stay tuned for some new videos in the future.